My name is Dan Osborn. I've been a resident of Collierville for over 20 years. I have two boys who are in the Collierville school systems. My oldest, Sam, is a sophomore at Collierville High School. My youngest, Andrew, is a fifth grader at Bailey Station. Thank you once again for the opportunity to speak at this meeting and for your time and dedication for studying school start times. The ad hoc committee worked for 6 months, and we applaud them for the incredible time investment that they looked at all of the critical decision-making points, the case studies, the financial matters involved, and a change of start times. Our committee is urging the board's approval of the committee's recommendation in favor of a later school start time. We are very pleased that there was unanimous recommendation for changing the start times. A change in start times is worth investing in. Our school system is dedicated to following the recommendations of the Center for Disease Control. Therefore, voting against a later school start time is going against our own school handbook. Any move in the direction of a healthier student body is worth doing. There are a number of arguments against change. The social media commentary seems to focus on my kids turned out fine and/or the kids don't want different times. After reading the media comments against change, none of them seem to be based on the science or the research that's been done over the last 30 years. It seems to us that a lot of students turned out fine in spite of an early start time. Now imagine how they could have excelled even more with extra sleep. When safety guidelines are established by credible organizations, we don't stop to survey students to ask them if they want to wear seatbelts or if they prefer texting while driving or not. And as parents, we know better than to ask them what they prefer to eat. We provide healthy meals and teach them about learning healthy habits for a lifetime of success. Other concerns have understandably focused on cost. It's important to note that there was no committee consideration of the positive impact on cost to help offset the transportation costs of the estimated 7 additional buses. We know parents who are zoned for Collierville who send their teens to Houston High School because of the later school start time. Even if it's just a few dozen students a year, there's a cost to our school system. If 3 dozen kids at $3,000 a year in estimated state and federal funding leave Collierville High School, then that's $108,000 in funds that Houston will receive to educate those students. There are 2,550 students at Collierville High School and 180 instructional days, and an average of $24 a day per student in federal and state funding. The current average daily absenteeism at Collierville High School is 107 students. If a later school start time reduces absenteeism, which has been shown in numerous studies, just by 20%, that translates into an additional $90,720 in potential funding. So there are potential benefits that will help counter some of the transportation costs. The 7 a.m. time was set in place to make scheduling the buses easier, before sophisticated software was available to optimize bus routes. Today, we can employ these helpful tools to further optimize our current routes, just like FedEx does. Many school systems have realized tremendous saving using school bus optimization software, and it may be the case of little or no increase in costs if Collierville uses additional tools to examine these bus routes. It is also important to note that Houston High School, all of the students of Germantown, includes all the students of Germantown. And that's a demographic that is very similar to Collierville. And they have seen improvements in test scores since they have changed to a later start time. There are Collierville students who choose Houston High School because of their later start time. We feel that a change can give CHS students the boost they deserve to excel in every area. A later school start time should also improve our ranking for military recruitment, as we learned from Commander Long's presentation. When it comes to potential traffic congestion, it's crucial that we consider the difference between the fatality rates of drowsy driving crashes and minor fender benders. Drowsy driving crashes have a higher fatality rate. Teens who sleep more are less likely to experience drowsy driving crashes. Teens who drive in the daylight are less likely to have fatal car accidents, even when additional traffic is factored in. When making this decision, please consider the fact that you're not just making a decision for a 30-minute change. You're actually making a 45-minute change for increased sleep. We especially applaud the ad hoc committee for coming up with that point. Pledging a 6:45 pickup is an incredible step. There's a big difference between a 6 a.m. bus and a 6:45 a.m. bus, and I can attest to that as my son is on the bus at 6 a.m. Also, for kids to wait for school buses in the daylight, that's a tremendous psychological benefit and a huge safety benefit. Kids won't be walking to a bus stop in the dark where they're at a much greater risk for being injured, potentially killed by careless drivers. More daily sleep adds up considerably and will greatly benefit our children's ability to stay awake in class. It is shown to reduce anxiety and depression and help kids more engaged and attentive in school. Kids who score better on tests have a higher GPA and are also less likely to drop out of school. In regards to the numerous surveys that were sent out, there's one point that stood out to our committee, and it's alarming. Of the 1,957 students who took the survey, there are 645 of them who fall asleep occasionally at school. 361 fall asleep frequently at school, and 250 admit to falling asleep daily at school. Now imagine 1,231 students all in one auditorium at CHS. That's 63% of the students who self-report falling asleep. There is a reason only 4% of the schools in our entire country have a 7 a.m. start time, because it's hard to teach kids when 2/3 of them fall asleep in class. Research shows that more sleep results in higher GPAs, higher test scores, lowered absenteeisms, lowered tardiness, and fewer behavioral problems. If a change in start time saves just one teen from dropping out, or 10 teens or more, what is the cost savings to the district? There is a dollar value for everything. Ultimately, though, the emotional value is to be weighed as the most important factor. What is the value of 2,550 kids being more rested and positive to their friends, to their teachers, to their parents, and to themselves? What's the value of just one student who's feeling the pressure of today's overwhelming experience? If just one student is saved from the edge of despair, this can be an incredible thing that you're doing. Small things add up. Sleep adds up. There are some big emotions and too many teens who make permanent decisions when they're on the edge of emotionality. What if just one suicide is prevented? We urge you to make the kind of leadership decision tonight that will improve the academic and psychological well-being of our entire student body. Thank you for taking the time to consider everything in your decision.
Thank you, Mr. Osborn.